Former President Donald Trump recently warned the country will be facing big problems if the Department of Justice attempts to hold him accountable for illegally keeping classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. In fact, here he is on the Hugh Hewitt show saying just that.
If there is such a prosecutor and they indict you, would that deter you from running for president again?
I don't think the people of the United States would stand for it. And as you know, if a thing like that happened, I would have no prohibition against running. You know that. I think if it happened, I think you'd have problems in this country, the likes of which perhaps we've never seen before. I don't think the people of the United States would stand for it.
What kind of problems, Mr. President?
I think they'd have big problems. Big problems. I just don't think they'd stand for it.
Big problems. We'll have big problems. Big problems. What kind of problems? Well, again, he dodged that question. He has no answer to that question. And look, I think that maybe he was vague for a reason. Again, there will be problems. Now, you could be charitable and say that, well, he means like a big problems, and he'll bring his legal team and he'll fight the any indictments, and okay, of course we would expect that. He has a right to defend himself, of course. And look, not only that, but maybe he means big problems with protest, right? Okay, saying that people, won't stand for it. Okay, fine. In a political way, if his fans protest, as long as it stays peaceful, 100% fine. Totally fine. Or, by the way, they could also vote for him anyway. That was actually originally Hewitt's question. Hey, if you get indicted, you're going to run for president. And he's like, well, there's nothing stopping me. Well, technically that's true. Yes, you can actually run for office, or at least for president, while under indictment. Strange system that we have, but there it is. So, okay. And yes, his fans will likely vote for him. Okay. Hey, that's up to you. But look, the thing is, it's really tough to be charitable when you look at Trump's history, especially when you look at things like January 6th, where there were big problems. Big problems in this country, the likes of which we had never seen before. I mean, again, he, during January 6th, he sat on his ass, he watched TV as the Capitol building was basically being taken over by a mob. The same mob that he egged on with tweets against his own vice president for not trying to steal the election for him, to, reject the certification. They chanted, need I remind you, hang Mike Pence. And what was Trump's reaction? And, well, I mean, it sounds like they deserved it. Now, this is according to testimony from Cassidy Hutchinson about what had happened on that day, and she recalled a conversation between Mark Meadows and Pat Scipione, saying, Mark, we need to do something more. They're literally calling for the vice president to be effing hung. And which Mark had responded, according to testimony, something to the effect of, you heard him, Pat. He thinks Mike deserves it. He doesn't think they're doing anything wrong. Meaning, of course, the rioters that did break into the Capitol, fought with police officers, smashed windows, smeared literal feces on the walls. Yeah. And so, look, when you talk about the context here, and when you look at how Trump had responded to Lindsey Graham saying, if Trump is indicted or prosecuted, there will be riots in the streets. Well, I mean, look, he endorsed that. I think the meaning here is pretty clear. That said, why don't we go to Hugh Hewitt, who immediately goes to play some preemptive defense on the part of Trump.
You know that the legacy media will say you're attempting to incite violence with that statement. How do you respond to what will inevitably...
That's not inciting. I'm just saying what my opinion is. I don't think the people of this country would stand for it.
I mean, look, that legacy media, right? Saying those things that happen to be true. Look, here's the thing. What I'm talking about for this situation is known as stochastic terrorism, which is defined as using mass public communication against a particular individual or group, or in this case, the government, which incites or inspires acts of terrorism which are statistically probable but happen seemingly at random. In this case, we had Trump saying that there's going to be trouble for the government, anyone involved, or the FBI, for example, law enforcement, if I happen to be indicted. I think you'd have problems in this country, the likes of which perhaps we've never seen before. But we have seen some of this before. You had somebody try to attack the Cleveland field office of the FBI and was killed in a shootout with officers, with agents. You had another man in Pennsylvania who had been arrested on charges of making threats of violence against personnel. Let me give you that. This 46-year-old Adam Baez had posted violent threats towards the FBI and law enforcement, stating, this was early in August, quote, "My only goal is to kill more of them before I drop. And if you work for the FBI, then you deserve to die." These are quotes that he had put. He was on, this person happened to have been on Gab, which is the infamous neo-Nazi platform. So he also allegedly wrote, "Every single piece of expletive who works for the FBI in any capacity, from the director down to the janitor who cleans their expletive toilets, deserves to die. You've declared war on us, and now it's open season on you." Let me just stop there and note that the FBI never wanted to search Mar-a-Lago. Christopher Wray is a Trump appointee. You think he wanted to do that? No, that's why they're like, please just send the stuff back. We know you've got documents. They don't belong to you. Just send it back. Just send it back, please. We can avoid any sort of drama. Just send it back. Just send it back. And he wouldn't. He refused because he thought that they were his, that he was entitled to these documents, to America's secrets. And so they had no choice but to go and search the property and recover all of these classified documents. That included nuclear documents of an unidentified country. That's not stuff that he's supposed to have. And by the way, you can't just like declassify it by saying, "I hereby now declassify all these documents right now." No, that's not how it works. You do have to go through a process. Even as president of the United States, you do have to go through the process through checking with other relevant agencies, to make sure that the documents that you're declassifying do not hurt national security. But again, all of this, these threats against law enforcement, all of this happened because Donald Trump had turned on law enforcement, turned specifically on the FBI, which again, I am not someone who was pro FBI. I have no love for the agency because in the past they have went after the left. They've been used as a tool to go after the left. And yet, by the way, you want to talk about political right? Well, there's a long history of going after, again, the left wing. But God forbid they actually go after somebody who's a member of the right wing. Well, now that's when the right wing turns on them. And let me give you another post here from Baez on August 10th, where he allegedly wrote, "Hey, feds, we the people cannot wait to water the trees of liberty with your blood. I'll be waiting for you to kick down my door." And of course they did. So look, understand that this is not a joke. We're not kidding when we say that, hey, there's a pretty significant danger here, where you have a former president of the United States who continues to stoke hatred and violence through his words. I think the guy knows that some of his people, some of his followers, a good percentage of them, are prone to violence. And his response is, okay, if they do it and it helps me, great. As long as it helps him and his aims of escaping prosecution and holding on to political power, I don't think he'd have any issues with, sitting back and letting violence unfold against law enforcement, Democrats, or anybody who might actually attempt to hold him accountable.